What's up, everyone? This is Harrison, and for today's conversation, we'll be talking to Earlonne Woods, the creator of Ear Hustle, the first podcast created and produced in prison in 2017. Ear Hustle features stories of the realities of those inside of California's state San Quentin Prison. Take a listen. Earlonne Woods, Ear Hustle. Appreciate you taking the time out to have me ask you a few questions today.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
So my first question is, you and Nigel recorded your first episode of Ear Hustle in 2017. I'm sure so many different things have changed between now and then for you and for the podcast. But my question is, where did you see this going when you first agreed to create this podcast inside of San Quentin?
Hey man, that's a good question, because honestly, when Nigel and I actually created it, it was only to be heard inside of San Quentin, and our bigger goal was to have it heard in like all the prisons,
Mm-hmm.
And now I can remember, myself, Nigel, and Antoine, we all be sitting around just talking about, getting everybody in prison to hear it, and it'll be in all the prisons. And then one day, Nigel came in with a flyer, and it was PRX's Radiotopia's PodQuest, and it was like a competition where they wanted, I guess, the next best thing, and the administration, which was Sam Robinson, who was the public information officer of San Quentin, basically allowed us to get in that competition. So once we got into that competition, it was 1,537 other teams from 53 different countries. Mm-hmm. And we ended up making it to the top 10. And once we made it to the top 10, we did 3 pilot episodes and we ended up winning. So I could say, probably to go back and answer your question, where did we think it was going to go, or, what our thoughts were when we first started, and when we won and got on that platform. I don't know. I think I was just happy that, the stories was outside the prison, and the crazy part is, I think I started off saying what our goals were. We weren't able to get them played in prison till like maybe a season later or something, into all the prisons. Wow. So people in society heard it first before we was able to cut through all the tape and get it played at all the prisons, So that was more of a challenge than anything else. But I can say, to answer your question, I don't know, man. It went. It's a saying we use, man, that the reality is definitely bigger than the dream.
I like that. I'm a huge, fan of one-liners and quotes, that I can use just, as you go through different seasons in life. And I think that one really resonates, not only in your journey, but I think in just a lot of people's different seasons of life, for sure.
Right. Definitely, man.
I think something that makes Ear Hustle so special is that you all do an amazing job of humanizing incarcerated people. Mm-hmm. Something that I think is so important in this country has gotten used to is mass incarceration. We think it's normal to have millions of fathers, mothers, sons, daughters behind bars. Was humanizing the stories of incarcerated people a goal of yours from the beginning?
That's a good. It's always been my belief that, of course, I'm a human. We all humans. You know what I'm saying? Everyone on this earth. You know what I'm saying? And I can say it like this, man. Everybody have stories, right? And I think once you're able to see someone through their story, it changes things. You know what I'm saying? Like, the goal for us was to just give an individual the mic and let their story talk for them, or a moment in their lives, So I think with communication comes understanding. You know what I'm saying? We all come from different walks of life, experience different things, and some people might just think it's just, the person that's on the news for a crime that was committed, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many different facets to people. That was like probably a bad decision in that person's life, a moment. And individuals' lives are way deeper than just that moment. So I think once you just, you hand a person the mic and allow them to speak and tell their truths, it resonates with people. So I think to go back to humanizing, I think it's just showing different sides of people.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's so important, throughout my time in the NBA, having a lot of different conversations. I think, like you said, you realize that what you see on TV and what is characterized a lot of times isn't, the reality that these people are facing. It's one decision, and how that is characterized can sometimes paint the wrong view. So,
I mean, even like, it was a long time ago, I was asked a question, about prisons, and they was talking about clips where, you'll see on TV where they got people banging their heads on the wall in the cells and, until it's bleeding and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, they're not telling you that's mental health though. You know what I'm saying? That's like, that's the mental health side of it. Everybody don't deal with the same circumstances the same ways, and most of that stuff be literally mental health, so yeah, it's complicated, but, individuals everybody's human. Everybody has their own stories, and again, conversation, can open you up and open up people to, your side of things and how you see life and view life or live life,
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of listeners are probably surprised by just how vulnerable and honest some of your guests get. You really touch on some difficult personal topics.
Right.
Why do you think people are so willing to open up to you and Nigel?
It's a few things. I would say that one, we're present, we're there, we in that space with them, and we allow individuals a space to unpack whatever it is they want to talk about. They know us. Some people have known me for decades or known about me, who I was, so they know an individual is not out there with some got you questions, I think a lot of times when media come in from the outside, right? And, they come to get a sound bite, they come and they edit the story differently than they agreed to, you know what I'm saying? And that really pissed people off, and individuals don't even want to have anything to do with the media. And I think with us, individuals knew that, Ear Hustle, myself, or whomever, we're not going to represent individuals in the wrong light. We're not going to represent them wrong, and the one good thing is, we used to allow individuals to come in and hear their stories. You know what I'm saying? Before we even put it out. So I think a lot of individuals knew they can come in and once you get into a conversation with a dude and y'all on some real shit, individuals tend to just open up, Like seriously. I mean, nobody's hiding nothing. Everybody's over. I didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Individuals is taking accountability for themselves and like, yeah, I did it. My bad. Won't do it again. And able to look at the situation differently. I think that's why individuals open up. And I say this to a lot of individuals. And, some people might raise their eyebrows, when I say this, but, when you've been gone 15 years, 20 years, you see life differently. You know what I'm saying? And I always, even when I'm in LA, I'm in the hood. I was just with my homeboy, Donald Williams. We was doing a Cease for Peace walk. And I was just like telling like, man, a lot of this gang stuff is going on because individuals live in this every day. They live in this war every day, haven't detached themselves from it. You know what I'm saying? So every day is the same thing. But when you got individuals that have been taken away, however they've been taken away from those communities for 10, 15 years, they have a whole different perspective. So, when we talk to cats, they've been gone probably 30 years, 20 years, have a whole different understanding of life, a whole different perspective of life. And I always be clowning with a lot of my partners out here that get out because a lot of us have become, successful in whatever we're doing. And I always be like, yeah, we the new Negroes. We the new Negroes. We understand it now. We got that 70s mentality, you know what I'm saying? Because we see it, we've seen it. And sometimes you have to take everything away from you before you can understand that this shit is real, and the consequences of your actions is real, no matter how little, how big, whatever. But I think individuals are able to open up to us because they beyond bullshit. They ready to, be honest and real. And forgive me about my language, brother.
No, you're good. You're good. We like to keep these conversations candid. So, feel free to be yourself always.
Okay, yeah. The listener alert on Ear Hustle is because of me.
Exactly. So you just launched.
Let me say this. Oh, it's for real.
Yeah.
When we were in prison and we was doing Ear Hustle, I was adamant that we was going to be cussing because that's the reality of prison. It's not nobody don't ever you. That's pretty much how you get the word across. Like, yeah, I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna let it go.
I got what you mean. So you guys just launched season 7 of Ear Hustle. There's been over 60 episodes to date. I know this is a tough question, but what has been your favorite episode?
Ooh.
And if you can't choose one, give me a couple.
So no, I can't choose one, man. Of course, if I was to choose one, it'd be bittersweet. And bittersweet because that was like the last episode that I started inside of prison, but I actually completed the episode out because I had a life sentence under California 3 strikes law, and it was commuted by Governor Brown. So the last episode of season 3, which is bittersweet, it was about my nephew. I always wanted to do a story about my nephew, Tyler Woods. He was shot 19 times by Long Beach police. You know what I'm saying? And he was unarmed. You know what I'm saying? They killed my little dude. And I wanted to do a story about him. And just so happened, my brother, which is his father and his mother, was incarcerated during that time. They did, long periods of time. So I always just wanted to, bring them into the story. So I would say bittersweet is a good one because that's when I got out of prison. That's when, I was back after 21 years. Mm-hmm. But I look at the stories, some of the stories, we do them for specific reasons. Like when we first started Ear Hustle, one of our stories we did was called Misguided Loyalties. And the reason I wanted to do this story was because it was how I looked at it, how you deter kids from gangs, right?
Yep.
You let them listen to a story like this where an individual was turned up for his hood, doing whatever he can do to build his reputation up. And he's not looking at it from the point of, human life, human whatever. He's looking at it from a game and a gang standpoint, and then he go out and commit a murder and, he's the man in his neighborhood, but the retaliation came when his family ended up getting killed behind his actions. So sometimes people don't think that far out, when you join gangs. So I would say misguided loyalties, if you have some kids that are, taking a different path. We had this one episode we did with Sarah Cruzan called Dirty Water. I like, younger women to listen to that so they can recognize the trap of traffickers. We have one, Tell Chrissy I Love Her, which is like it was a cat that shot the police in the neck, end up doing time, and they end up becoming cool. You know what I'm saying? And it just shows pretty much restorative justice. Basically, that's what it shows. So I would say any of them. Those are some cool ones. I mean, if it all depends on if you want the escape from prison. I think that's Getting a Date from the first season. That was a cool story. That was like an Ear Hustle story. So there's a lot of them. I don't know, man.
It's hard to choose. Like you said, I mean, there's just so many different ones. Each of them.
I can say this: we're gonna have one coming up in season 8. That's gonna be all right. We working on that one now. You know what I'm saying? So
okay,
that one, I'm laying in the cut for that one. That's the one, and I think that one gonna be a good one.
Okay, bet we would definitely be tapped in with that. If you're, I was gonna say we'll be tapped in with that for sure.
Yes.
If you're an Ear Hustle fan or a basketball fan and you're listening to this and you agree that our criminal justice system is broken, what can people do? How can we help? I know it's a massive problem, but do you have any suggestions on a difference that people watching this can make? Oh,
sure. Yeah, it's just like it all depends on where people at. When I was sitting in prison, we used to have these groups like 3 strikes groups, and you have lifer groups, and you're looking at it from how can the laws change? Like, people put these laws in, everybody's saying some of these laws are cruel and unusual punishment, they're draconian, but how do you change them? You know what I'm saying? So, and I think it was back in 2004, it was a proposition called Prop 66 that was on the ballot that would have changed California 3 strikes law. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a person like me, I went to jail when I was 17, involved in a game, kidnapped a drug dealer, robbed him. You know what I'm saying? That was the charge. I was 17. You're not really paying attention to the charge. So went to prison, did 6 years, 3 months, got out of prison. Didn't learn nothing my whole stay the first time. Like, just went in, gang bang, got out of prison, back on the block, you know. Got back into the same activities 2 years, 10 months later. I was in jail for attempted second-degree robbery, and I was facing life because of what happened when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? The 2 strikes in 1 case. So while I was in prison, I was like, well, damn, when's somebody gonna come and help change this law? And I seen that, you know, individuals wasn't coming. I was listening to it in the raps, like 3 strikes law got me bleeding with 3 strikes, or this with 3 strikes. And I'm like, okay, y'all talking about it, but when y'all gonna show up? You know what I'm saying? When y'all gonna come and throw us a life rap up in these prisons? So realizing it was gonna take a lot, I myself created an organization called Choose One. And Choose One was an acronym for Could Hip Hop Overthrow Oppressive Sentencing Enactments, right? And my ideology was like, okay, if we can get the hip hop industry to get involved in the prison politics, or the prison, you know, how to change this, then it'll be easier. You know what I'm saying? It's an easy lift because you know, it takes money. So, you know, it was a simple mission, try to get everybody on board. But I realized soon that it was a disconnect between prison, the hip hop industry, and just people in general that, you know, were, you know, up there. Everybody inside to be like, yeah, I know this person out there. And you get to them, they like, oh yeah, they ain't, you know, can't reach out to them. So it was no connection. So that was my whole mission, you know, and when you inside, you have nobody. So to answer the question, like how people can help, I was reaching out to cats. I remember I was in prison. I didn't know the cat, the Big U. I didn't know him, but I knew people from, you know, being in the world. I knew, you know, gamers where I was able to reach him. And I got at him like, bro, we in here, you know, trying to get out, trying to get the individuals involved. And he was like, for sure, man, I'll do what I can, you know, and he passed flyers on for Choose One, and Snoop Dogg's and T.I.'s, and a lot of them passed it on, but it was kind of late in the game, but they passed it on, and, you know, we got more traction, you know what I'm saying? But the honestly, what was needed is money, because, you know, this, you know, when you're dealing with trying to change a law, you're dealing with initiatives, you're dealing with signature gatherers, professional signature gatherers, you're dealing with lawyers, consultants, you're dealing with a team of things, you know, and it's not cheap. You know, the average initiative probably gonna hit you nowadays like $10 million. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So, you know, I think getting individuals involved to help, like I say Choose One, and I say hip hop. But when I say hip hop, I mean individuals that's like probably 56 and under. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're in baseball, basketball, football, rap, entertainment, business, whatever, and you grew up in this hip hop environment, you grew up in an environment that has been basically a part of the mass incarceration. This is it all. I don't want to say started in our culture, but it was pretty much our culture. You know, and that's why I reach out to people. So I say, whether it's people in the NBA, man, just reach out and sponsor in groups like this. Like my Choose One organization created this shirt I got on, which is Repeal California's 3 Strike Law Coalition. And what it is it's a gang of different community-based organizations in California that are fighting in the criminal justice world, and it's bringing them together to say, hey, let's fight for this one thing. Let's try to create this where we can fight for. We can put all our voices to this one issue, you know what I'm saying, and getting everybody on board. And I think our biggest problem has been really getting people in the entertainment industry on board, you know, bringing in that type of money, bringing in those type of donations. So that's where we at. So to answer your question in a couple of words, we just need sponsors from different walks of life, you know.
Hey, no question. I think that's important for almost every initiative, but also that knowledge too of, you know, you have resources, or you know how to fundraise resources. Where can we go? So I think that's important too. Like you said, you know, with the coalition, you know, with Choose One, you know, organizations like that are doing the work. I think that's important as well.
Definitely.
Earlonne, I definitely appreciate the time. Thank you, everyone. I'd encourage you to tune in to not only the past Ear Hustle seasons, but definitely check out season 7. And we will all be keeping an eye on that episode on season 8.
No, hey, and I'm gonna say this: it's some cool stuff coming up in season 7 too, though. You know, we got a few of them that's gonna be some surprises. You know, I tracked down a kingpin that was released, and we're gonna talk about what life was like in prison, and seeing the effects of that life. We talking about quarterly packages. We're gonna talk about visiting, gender transitioning inside, outside of prison. So we're definitely working on different stories, and I think the fun one, I think the interesting one probably going to be de-escalating. How you de-escalate situations, how you de-escalate conflicts, be it in the streets, be it getting pulled over. And you got some different point of views, so that one's going to be interesting. Going through that tape is damn, we got to cut that. We got shit. It'll be a 4-hour episode.
No question. I have to break it up into 2.
Definitely. Sometime my season 8 when we gonna do 2 episodes.
Okay.
For that one story. So yeah.
Cool. Well, man, I definitely appreciate the time. Thank you for all the work that you're doing, and continue to spread awareness.
I definitely appreciate you, man. I appreciate you taking the time to even holler at a cat.
No doubt, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.